Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us in this Jaffer talk. This time we have incredible special expert in products and brand, and we will go through a couple of questions and thoughts. I think and I believe that will adding value to your business, to your field if you are interested in a brand slash design slash user experience slash many things that you will figure out with Lisa with us. Okay, we will a little bit give a bio about Lisa. You originally from UK, but I think you are living in Australia right now, right, Lisa? Okay. Okay, with over 30 years of experience in branding and design, helping entrepreneurs, scientific thinkers, and innovators, she specialized in bringing physical products to the market and using the behavioral science, which is that very crucial subjects and fields and study the behavioral science. So Lisa, I have a couple of questions I want to ask one by one to one. So through that, we can create the overall image about your field, about your experts, about your message. Okay. So we're talking about you are expert how to bring product to the market or how to transfer product to the brand. Okay. I will come back to basics and asking you this question. How we can define product? What's the product?
The product normally for me is a physical product. I've been working with print, and I started in design before computers. So most things were sold before the internet. So really I've specialized in wine labels, a lot of food products, even products can be a course. For me, it's, I run also a wholesale product company of my own that sells products for car dealers. So all different things that need labeling and normally with print and packaging involved. Okay. But I do also help people who've almost got who've got a course to sell. That's their product. So it could be an online thing, but majority of my services are for people with physical products.
Okay, this physical product, either it will be existing products, they want just to what they call using the white label for it, or maybe it's like a new invention or a new patent or a new industrial design. So you working in both, or you are only for the white labels?
I do work for, like I work for developers and actually do all the promotional work for before they've built buildings. So we sell it before the actual physical building is built, like doing all the advertising and the promotional work for that. Sometimes it's not normally startups I work with. I do coaching with those sort of people now, but normally it's people who want to rebrand and take their brand to the next level. Or if you are going into a wine industry and you've got want to go into a bottle shop, you're going to retail, you know you need to stand out on the shelf. And how are you going to break that barrier and make sure you get the sales?
So you're dealing with existing products or even with patent or even industrial design or even with packaging. All these under the what they call it the definition of a product. So you are dealing with all these sectors?
All different sectors I've dealt with over the last 30 years, yes.
Okay, perfect. Because, you know, the audience, they want to know more about your experience, about your dealing, about your clients, which is giving value to them. Okay, so I think...
Yes, well, I think with my clients, I really try to take them through the whole journey and make sure we get good foundations set up. And we make sure we're really clear on, we know who their clients are, we test the market as much as possible. Majority of my clients have been with me a long time. And we might be on 4 or 5 different products. You know, we've moved through some of my clients over 12 years. They've done lots of different projects. So I'll work with them with maybe research. Is this a valuable project? I'll get quotes in. And then we'll go through the whole process of branding it and launching the product to market.
So what's the main sector for products you are dealing with? In which sector? Food and beverage, or maybe fashion?
Food and beverage is one thing that I'm well known for and people contact me for, but I also work with construction and developers.
Constructions. Okay.
Construction industry is really, I know, that is actually because of the building and bringing buildings. It's so a lot of money.
So you are dealing with construction materials?
Yep, manufacturer is one of my biggest customers, is a manufacturer of construction materials.
Well, this is one of the hardest things, especially for construction. You have to educate yourself about, you know, all the features, about benefits for the product. Then you have to educate your client, then educate your end users. It's a long journey. It's not easy.
For that company, I've been involved, and I go on the floor and talk to the boys in the factory and really try to see how their processes work and where they think they can see improvements. You know, I think it's really important to gather that information. And sometimes as an outsider, it's easier.
Yeah.
Because I've got fresh eyes when I'm looking, and I'm always curious to see how things work and how they get things. We put a drive-through service for the pickup like a year and a half ago, which has been really successful. So their construction people can just come through and pick up what they need in the morning. Yeah, we put a shop inside.
I think your job is very interesting. You know, it's not just behind.
I like doing lots of different things. I like doing
to the field, checking here and there, factory and warehouse. 3D print, I don't know what. I think it's very interesting. It's not just in one place, which is that's leading to the second question. Of course, if we're dealing with a product, we want to understand it first. Did you do or do you have like any methodology you using for yourself, for your team and for your office to understand the number one, understand the product? Then you have to digest all this information. Then you have to transfer it to your end user through touch points, either TV, video, or maybe content, etc., etc. What's the type of methodology or a process you are using to understand the product for your client? Then you have to deliver the message for the end users as customer.
Yeah, I do. I think I use design thinking really, which because I came from I did science first at university. I really think a bit of scientific thinking. But it's a little bit different, really. With design thinking, you don't have the hypothesis. You've got to find out what that is. What is it people need? But still, I think coming with that mathematical brain to things and that science approach, I do, you know, first of all, I just go diverse. I just want to find out everything and anything I can about the product and what is going on, and take all that information in, and we'll do workshops and try and find out from lots of different people as much information. If I can interview customers, I love doing that. And then I really look through that whole, once we know who our customer is, we're really clear who that is, we will then look at the customer touch points and how they're feeling through the journey. And behavioral science is really showing our brain wants to do things easy. Most of the time it's just, it can't process all the products in the world. Too many products. Yeah. And especially now, I think with digital overload of, you know, we're constantly seeing adverts for things. So how are you getting attention? What do those people need? And we really want to make it easy for our brain to say yes. Okay. Keeping that, you know, to any things that's stopping that customer buy, we want to look and how is that brand connection building just on the little, when you send an invoice, how does that sound? All those little things build connection. Yeah. So I think for a company, when I'm working with a company, I really like to take that holistic approach where we're like, I make you look good everywhere. Wherever they're going to see your company, we want them to have the same feeling, the same interaction with that business. It builds trust. Yeah,
what they call the same perception that you are looking for to build, which is that's what they call the brand, the building perception. And the perception is coming from, as you say, from different touch points, either physical or virtual, anything, look and feel, even verbally when they pick the phone, and you know, and the client, you know, answering them. All these things, I think you are doing a great job, because it's not very detailed. It's not an easy.
No, it isn't. But it does start with internally within a company. So if you work with a team, and they, like you said, when they're answering the phone. So I think making sure that you're really clear on the company values, and making sure then you use that language within your business. If you're a business owner, that's how it starts passing down the chain. You have to live the values that you are saying up, you know, what you want to sell.
That leads me for another question, which is not written, just in my mind now, which is, That's mean you have to sit with the corporation teams individually for each department. You have to understanding them. You have to write your notes. Then after that, you have to do DT, design thinking. Then the final deliver from your side as a company or as Lisa to your client as like a report, as a guideline. What we call it? Product that guideline.
I would then, from that research, I would present maybe 3 options that had different price points involved with them, or what I recommended was the best options for them to move forward. And then again, I would at that point probably go back to the corporate team and we would discuss the management team. What was their reaction on those? You know, how do they feel about them? I'm always presenting them as with curiosity on their reaction, and if we can fine tune them or if they've got any input on that. And then from those 3, we'll normally narrow down to 1. Okay. And that's when we'll start testing as quickly as possible. Always, I think it's something that just keeps going. It's never really done. I think you have to be grateful for 80% done. And then you're like, okay, let's test, let's move. Okay, we're back at the beginning. Now we're watching the customer again. How are they responding to the product? So I really love to do like heat tracking and watching them on websites, how whenever we do big changes, okay, how are the customer responding to this?
Okay. Usually, how much time it takes from you? Usually, in average, for example.
Well, for those sort of companies, I'm really working for them full time.
Yeah.
But if they brought out a new product, it would really could be a 3-month period. It depends if the product's already made. If the product's ready and we have to push through, you could maybe do 6 to 8 weeks, but I would say it's a 3 months before you've really done good research and gone through that process where you're starting to test.
So after you delivering the research or your proposal, and you have to follow up or have just to deliver and that's it. I mean,
I normally I deliver the brand strategy and what is my options, and then normally they pay me to implement that.
Okay. So you have to
make that happen. They don't want me to. They want me to make it happen. Most businesses I know don't actually want just strategy. So I do sometimes do strategy. I've been working for bigger corporations, but with the businesses I work with, I'd say 50 to 100 people. They're not giant. Where I'm involved with the management team, and that's really then once we decide, they're like, okay, Lisa, this is because I know what the budget is. We've worked that out, so then I'm like, okay, I know how much of the budget's for me and I know how much I've got to spend on all the other things to make it happen.
Okay. Let me a little bit put the spotlight in 2 things. Just I want to clarify it from my side and for the audience. You said you present 3 options. 3 options in terms of how to market the products for the end users. For example, that 4 B's, one of them is like how you place, the product on the shelf, how to promote it through different touch points. This what you mean about delivering?
Yes. Yeah. I would be delivering a strategy where we've checked the SEO. I will show them the research. We'll go through a PowerPoint explaining why I've made decisions.
Okay.
And then I will say, this is what I recommend as the best step forward. Okay. And normally I would say, this is if we're going to bang this much money at it. And this is like maybe a toned down approach where we can just start testing and it won't cost you so much money. And so I'll sort of break down some options. I think as well, our brain likes to have options.
Okay.
It likes to play with, it doesn't like to only have one choice. It likes to feel like it's made a decision. So it's important that you present that for, if you are selling a product, if you've only got one price, they'll go to another website to compare. But you could actually just make the comparison yourself. And then brains are that happy. As long as they've done the comparison, they won't have to go to check somewhere else.
So what about the part of the proposal about the packaging itself for the product? I think you're involved in that as well.
If
right?
Then it moved on to say, if depending on what sort of project, sometimes I would be setting up like a trade event, or I could be setting up maybe, if it was a packaging, then I would be saying, okay, this is then going to my design studio, and they would be a lot more involved. We would start again with really diving deep onto that packaging product. If it was, say, an app development, we would probably take in the studio the design side, but we wouldn't be doing the build ourselves. I would get quotes from someone else to do a build for an app.
So I think your job, I think your job is like an octopus. You have different things. You have for the virtual SEO, you have the look and feel, you have the user experience, you have the customer journey. It's comprehensive, I think.
I like to think of it's holistic.
Yeah.
Because none of them work without the other.
Right.
Everyone says, you know, marketing. For me, every interaction you have with your customer is building your brand. Even if you have no logo, you have nothing else, when you say hello, when you offer them service, you've built your brand. You're saying your values, and how they respond to that is starting their perception. And so I think people get a bit too attached to how they look and spend too much money when they haven't actually started building those customer connections.
Okay. And part of the proposal, you're involving in the marketing strategy or marketing plan?
I've been running a marketing company for the last 23 years separately, where we do marketing for car dealers, and we do direct mail and events. Okay. So I have been involved in marketing on that side. So I don't do Google Ads, SEO. I do SEO research. I use that for strategy, but I don't really do implementation. So if we needed that, I would, again, outsource that. Yeah, but if it's advertising, that's what I do. I love advertising.
Yeah, advertising. Yeah. For example, if you have
advertising's me, that's what I've worked in. So
yeah, for example, if you are working in construction materials and you want to promote it, part of the marketing is, for example, to do like a small documentary or small clips. You want to put it in your, you know, touch point and send it to your clients. So even this one, you are involved in this. You're doing this?
I would be involved with organizing, like if for my construction company, we do an article that was like send it to one of the specialist magazines for that industry. Okay. I would find a blog writer who would maybe interview someone at the company. Yeah. I often find a lot of my customers are very busy men, and they're quite happy for me to organize everything for them. And they're grateful that someone else is taking over and making things happen. So I would normally organize a copy, give it to them, and then they put their twist on it. But if I wait for it to come first, I'll probably never get copy. So I organize that and say, okay, this is where we'll be. This is the cost to go in these magazines. Obviously, I would have discussed with them first, where do you think is the best place for you to be? And they'll tell me industry. You know, we will have found out where their industry touch points are and worked together, and then they trust, I hope. That's how it works.
I think you have that 360 surface. 360. All right. Yeah.
I think I'm lucky from having my own businesses. So even though I've run my design studio, I've also got like 2 or 3 businesses of my own. So it helps me see from that side as well. Like I understand as a business owner, I don't want to spend lots of money on graphic design. You know, I understand how it feels to spend money, and I know all the costs. I realize that, you know, there's not just one cost. We have to pay costs everywhere. So I really I treat my clients as it's my business. Okay. Like I want them to make money. And as long as they're making money, we're all happy.
Yes.
That's the aim of the game. Yes. So I like to, if I treat them like that and make sure they're earning money, then when they do new projects, they know I'm on board to make sure it happens for them.
So for how long you are working in this field? 20 years?
I've been I started work in advertising in 92. So I've been working for almost 30 years in advertising, and then I've had my own business for probably about 23 years. And then my studio for probably it's 16, 17 years now.
So you have long experience with this long experience. How you can, for example, tell us what's the best, what's the criteria for the best product based on your experience? What's the best criteria? Yeah, what's the criteria for the best product? I know it's really different from sector to sector. I know.
It's very hard. I think it is actually making sure you know what your customers need.
Okay.
And that is where businesses sometimes mess up by thinking they know the best product, but they haven't listened to their customers.
Okay.
And the customers will tell them the best ideas for the product.
Okay.
The customers drive the innovation if you pay attention. because there, if you listen, go and listen on social media, you go and listen to how they're responding.
Yes.
They give you clues. And that's how you develop the best product, is by always, and I think, like I said, it's always 80% done. We're always evolving, because if you stay with one product or don't diversify, I don't think that's the solution for success, having one brilliant product, because as soon as you have one, someone will copy you. You've got to compete.
Yes.
You've always got to be looking how you can improve that process. It's a continual sort of looping.
So the secret is to listen to your customers, because from your customers, you get the perception, because at the end of the day, they're using your products. I'm manufacturing, but they're using in daily life or something. So I have to get the feedback. From the feedback, I can modify my products between time to time. I want to compete, okay? That's why we have what they call the 3S. You have to stand out, to stand up, to stand firm. So stand out, you have to know the cause, stand up. Stand up. Yeah, stand up. So to sustain, which is stand firm. So I think I agree with you 100%. We cannot proceed without listening to our customers. So
and watching them.
Watching them.
Because I think sometimes they, not purposely, that people buy things from an emotion point of view. And when you say to them, why did you buy that? They lie, even though they're not meaning to lie. They think in their critical brain, oh, I needed that. But that wasn't the driving factor for them to buy the product. So when you watch them online and you watch how they interact, that can give you really good clues to, and also talking to your staff. Like for me, that is important, to go down to, I believe, those boys on the factory floor who are actually serving the customer more than the corporate people who I work with. They are full of ideas. And they are, if you listen to them, that's fun. Like then and they can give you really good things that you can start using for innovation.
Yeah. The best one you can ask, there are two persons, the end users and the customer service team, because they are listening to the first touch point. They want to ask, they argue, they are like, dislike, and you have to collect all this data to make it like what they call it, useful knowledge and information for you to take the next action. Okay.
And that's it. I think we're all making the best decision we can with the information available. There's no secret magic. It is gather more, and then you can make a better decision. And a lot of businesses, I'm quite surprised that they haven't even looked who their competition is. They just don't look and see what's out there. They don't explore enough. I think they feel, it actually feels quite vulnerable to go and look at other people, because then they look amazing and you think, I'm not good enough. And there's all these thoughts that come in their brains when they're looking, oh, should I do this? There's all these other people who are doing it already. And it's quite confronting to have to challenge your own beliefs. Am I doing the right thing? Whereas some people just steam ahead with like, this is a brilliant idea, I'm going to do it. And they have missed completely checking what's available out there, because they don't want to give up their idea, so I feel like it is, I understand, as I've been coaching, it is quite, to be creative, you have to be uncomfortable. To innovate, you have to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
So, and that is part of the journey.
So part of your business, of course, is studying your customers' competitors, right? Your clients' competitors. So part of this research, you have to go to the competitors and studying them. For example, what's their uniqueness, what's their strength, what's their weakness, which is that SWOT analysis a little bit. And you apply it in your research and your proposal to your client. This part of your job?
All of this, I present my research to my client. I normally do it quite visually. I'm a visual person myself. So the SEO data, I try to make it as visual so they can see, photos of the people they're serving and get those connections with people. So that I think that makes it easier rather than me just showing loads of data.
Okay.
But so I gather the information and try to make it easy for them to digest so we can make a decision.
So what about your main business is only in one country? now?
My main business now for doing, well, design, I have done, I have worked overseas with that. And really we've been doing events and marketing, yet that's only in Australia.
Okay.
And my wholesale company, we do serve, sometimes we've actually sent to Bahrain before the pandemic, and we've sent over to China with that's wholesaling car products.
But I mean,
but mostly that is also Australian.
Okay, so your main clients and business in Australia, right?
Yes.
Okay, there's no Chinese there, part of your business?
No, I have served some Australian companies who actually are working in China, like serving China with their food products. So I've had to look at how the labeling works in China, how their social media works in China, how I would have to brand those to make sure that it attached with Chinese values, not my values. But most of my business is here in Australia or in UK, where you people know me, and more now with design. I do have people with labeling come for coaching from America and things, but that's not really for big design projects.
So when we're talking about China or maybe India or other different cultures from Australia, or even between UK and Australia, is not that much different. But when you study, for example, product, you want to export it to China. As you said, I have to understand not their language, more than culture. You know, for example, the labeling, the style of labeling, and their display, especially if it's for food and beverage or for something else. All these things, you have to travel to China to understand their culture, or maybe you have like partners in China just to digest this type of information, which is playing a major role in your proposal for your client, because product versus culture. If like different countries, of course, it's like a different mindset. So how you can deal with such a project like this?
Well, for that sort of project, I probably did like 5 days of research where I just dived so deep into
search and travel to China.
Not traveling. I did interview someone who I knew was in China working in an advertising agency there. So I spoke to them. Obviously, I spoke to the client who had been dealing back and forward. I then just went online. Obviously, it's harder to get into the Chinese software, but social media and things. But there was a lot of information. I mean, the world is full. It's amazing. I mean, now my job is actually easy because of the internet. Like before, when we had to research, we had to do groups of people, surveys, bring them in, show them new products. Whereas now someone could just pop it on social media, especially if you build a fan base. You could say to your top 10 people, can I try this out on you? I'd love your feedback. You've supported our company. We really want honest feedback. Here's my product for free.
Okay.
You know, or you can start using your own audience to test. It's pretty cool. Perfect. The opportunities with
win-win situation,
being able to spy on them. Like on the internet, you can see where they are online and go and look what they're saying in groups and what questions they're asking. So it's very powerful, the information you can find.
Okay, let us stay in Australia, okay? So, for example, if you have a client in constructions or on food and beverage, is there like any data available that you can refer to, for example, to collect all data, or just only based in focus group, or maybe in, you know, what they call going through, for example, if you have now a client, for example, in construction materials, the basic thing, which is about the data, which is how many constructions, building materials companies in Sydney, just an example, all this information is available, or you have to searching for. I mean, for example, available for example, in Bahrain, you can go to a platform of Ministry of Commerce. Okay.
Yes.
You can take all this data. How many companies in what sectors, maybe how many employees for each company, all this available, because maybe affect how many branches they have, you know, because all this type of information, it will affect in you. Because of the distribution and marketing, maybe this area is not available. For example, there's no competitor in this area. Okay, you advise your client, please, you have to focus in this area. There's high demand and there's no branch for any competitors. maybe you can, distribute your products there. So my question is, from where you can get all this information and data? It's only through Google or research, or you have secret recipe or resource.
I
Or
wish I had a secret recipe.
Yeah.
I just think it's from paying attention, and Google is an amazing source, but there is, like you said, for certain industries, there is platforms you can go to. I like to go overseas and make sure I'm looking how it works in other countries. Like if I'll go and see what are the best people in the world doing, how's the top luxury version of this product selling, look at, what's the budget version, how are they promoting that version. So really just gather as much information. I think for creativity to happen and innovation is in your subconscious mind. So my first thing is just to feed my brain, like I'm putting all the ingredients in, like I'm in a stock pot. Just keep putting those ingredients in, and then you just let your brain churn the information, and you start finding those gaps and those little points.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we have three questions.
I'm not sure. Hold on. Have you losing my camera?
Yeah, I losing your camera. Yeah, just
let me just quickly check. Why is that?
That's fine. That's fine. No. This type of customer experience, the product experience.
Yeah, I think you can hear me okay. So that's start with you.
No problem.
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay.
We've got staff in here, so it's all good. Okay. Customer experience. I have actually got a blog I've just been putting up on my website on that, so that your audience, if they want to, they can go and have a look. And I've done an avatar workbook, because I think it's really important to get really clear who your avatar is, who you're serving. It's not when I say, who's your avatar? And they go, they're aged 20 to 50.
Okay.
We're not going for average. We're going for specifically who are we serving that you can go and hunt them down. So that's what we want to really get clear on that before then we go through the customer journey touch points, which I've also put a template for that. But getting really clear, first of all, of your avatar is really important, I think.
So how you can implement the customer behavior to your proposal or to your business? Is there, for example, like a roadmap or blueprint you are using to get all that, what they call it, the feedback and results from consumers or consuming for the product? And after that, of course, you put it in your proposal and to present it to your client. So what type of customer behavioral or consumer behavioral you use? It's like the customer journey, or you have to focus about different touch points, or one-to-one communication, focus group. What type of consumer behavior
I will be looking at where the customer touch points are, where are the opportunities that we're interacting with that customer, all the different points like that. Also then looking with SEO, I look at all the data, what are they typing in, what keywords are being researched. That's really good information, because that tells you what they're actually typing in. So I love factual information. If there was a product that was similar that was selling, I'd be looking in the market to see what other products exist. What's working with them, what's not working. So gather that information, and then I present what I believe is important to my customers.
Okay, but the result should be what they call it, working alongside with the ability and capability for your customer. For example, if you go to the customer and say, okay, we have to repackaging. Okay, maybe repackaging, that will be part of their expenses. They have to pay to do like new packaging. So even the financial tasks you are doing for your client and calculate it, or regardless. Okay, you have this product. The solution is do this packaging because it's more effective in your consumer, regardless about
no, I would be working out the cost of that.
No, even for the cost. So
I would work out the cost of, especially if it was for packaging and we were moving forward, I would be giving them options on cost for that. and say, normally that's what I'd really be talking about the budget before I'd started.
Okay.
Because otherwise I'm wasting my time. If I deserve, like in my brain, if I go, this is going to look like this and it's going to be amazing, and then they tell me the budget's $3 a box. I need to know that before we start. But I might say, here's an option. If you spend $7 a box, this is going to raise the perception, and I believe you can sell it for more money. Okay. Like I might bring in that option, but I will also be aware of what the costs are of things I'm suggesting.
Which is by logic, and you cannot start without allocated budget. So based on the budget, this for research, this for this for that. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense.
And I think that's very important for designers. I mean, I don't know, sometimes designers don't understand that. Like they're like, oh, it's so much work and it's worth this much. And it's like, well, it's only worth that much if the customer's making that much money from it. And if you cost $25,000 and they're only selling a $10 product, they got to sell a lot of those products. So you have to work out what is it worth spending compared to what they're actually going to make from the sale.
That's what they call it. I think Mimic Ogilvy said that design not sell isn't just an art. So even if we put the implement of design, and part of the design, of course, the packaging, or they call it industrial design, we have to convince our client by facts and figures. If you change this A to B, maybe, okay, it's effect in your customers and his final decision. But there's no guaranteed, right? Okay, you will propose, but you are trying to build what they call the perception, the new perception. Through the perception, that leading to decision, from decision that leading, of course, for what they call revenue for your client. Because at the end of the day, customer, they will change its behavior. Instead of using this remote control, they use the other remote control because of the packaging, display, colors, etc., etc. So all these possibilities, of course, I think you put it in your proposal, but still there is no guarantee, because some customers, they're asking you, okay, I will pay this. Can you guarantee for me the results? Can you guarantee, for example, ROI, it will be increased by this and that? So that's the main question, which is always asked by clients, especially when we're talking about the product, what they call it, the product development. They want something very sharp answers. Okay, I will pay this. Can you guarantee for me the results by this percentage or that? So did you face any type of clients they're asking this question, and what's your answer?
Yes, I do. I think even my husband asked me those questions. And you can't guarantee, as you said, but that's why we're getting as much information as we can, so we can make as least risk as possible when we're spending money. And I do like to test small runs if possible. So we'll do a small test run, not go the 10,000 products if we were doing packaging. But there is no guarantee. For me, it's really important now when I work with clients that their mindset is correct, because otherwise it doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah,
I can make them look amazing. I can do everything right. But if their mindset's not right with business success, and they're not set up correctly to make any money with their business and internal structure, there's no point spending money on me.
Yeah,
we're both wasting our time. So I think that's really important. As you said, that there's no guarantee, but I can ask questions to find out if you're ready as a customer.
Yeah,
plus, and I would also be
and besides,
to lower risk.
I think besides Lisa, she already 100% have successful stories from different clients. This is my case studies. Yeah, okay, I cannot guarantee, but see, this is my one successful story, number one, number two, number three. So I have that heritage, I have that credibility. I can show you, I can work with you toward this another new successful story for you. You know, it's very hard.
I think the social proof is very important.
Yeah, because it's very hard. For example, if you are just starting today and you want to convince a client, it's very hard, not impossible, but very hard a little bit, but much easier with time. Why? Because I have this example, that example. So for him, it will be more comfortable to dealing with you because you already have case studies or
there's so much information
yes.
already gathered,
Yeah.
and it makes the process just so much. And I think when you start up, it would be impossible. Like I love that people are doing brand strategy, but if you're a young designer, it would be impossible for you to understand how businesses function.
Right.
To have that understanding, knowledge of what I do, I couldn't have done that when I was 20. Like when I'm 25, I could do advertising at that point because I could work out those things, but I had no idea on the structure of the costs involved with business.
Mm-hmm.
So that develops over time. Even as a designer, by running your own business, you start understanding those costs. Okay. But at the beginning, you've just got to start building those case studies and getting work where you can to, like this is as a designer, not as obviously a business entrepreneur.
Okay, perfect. So your proposal or your what they call it, case study, it's available in online. For example, if I am a client, okay, I want to see your work. Is there like any case studies summary of your case study? For example, this product, it was and it be, you know, before and after.
I do have a few case studies on my studio site, which is Burning Love Creative. That's the name of my studio.
Okay. Perfect.
I do have case studies there for design. But at Lisa Galea is where I'm doing more teaching, and there's more knowledge information if you're a business owner to get those processes and to find out more where I can help in that area. But my studio does have case studies of jobs I've worked on, and I put the client's story because I think that's important to show how we've gone through the process.
Okay. Do you do training or courses or coaching for your client only, or even for potential, for example, students or fresh graduate, or only for your client?
I do. I've started teaching at the Future with Christo. I did workshops there on, yeah, that's good, on print production, because it upsets me that young designers don't know how to do any, like they're not thinking physically. They keep thinking everything's online digital, but in reality, we have, if you look around, everything's printed. Right. And they need, when they're designing brands, to be thinking, can we print this? So I teach there. I also am bringing, like I'm doing some workshops on customer journey, and I'm also going to start teaching some one-on-one design basics for business owners so that they actually can, like I do, I specialize in font psychology, and also just knowing how spacing works and understanding just some grid systems so that they know design basics, so their words can make an impact. Okay, perfect. I think you have a problem with your camera. I think you have to rethink about your product. I mean, your camera. Yeah, I don't know why it is stopping on video.
No, it's okay. So we have,
not sure why the video.
That's fine. We have the last question, because usually it's 1 hour or even 45 minutes, which is, I think this timeline is good. So my last question is, Lisa, based on your experience, how do you think the future for products after 20 years from now? It's more about virtual things, or still it will be physical, but embedded with the virtual, you know, the metaverse things, embedded with the virtual, even the senses will be all to be, I don't know, maybe robotics things. How you can see the products after 20 years from now, or even after 50 years? It will be still the physical, it will be the king, or no, most of the products will be, you know, half, maybe virtual, physical.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I do believe in the future we will have a lot more of interaction with both. Yeah. But I think humans are physical people. We want to connect, we want to touch. Interestingly, I study with a neuroscientist who's really into virtual reality. And I think he plays a lot with his friends because they're all crazy scientists. And what they found is that when they brought the virtual reality into the business place, that people don't like being in it with other people around them. It makes them feel uncomfortable to be in a virtual world when there's real people around. They're okay in their own room on their own, but in a business world, it's still something that feels really uncomfortable when you're locked. It makes you feel nervous about what's going on around you. because you're inside a virtual world. So it'll be interesting to see as humans. I think we really want to touch people. I think really with even your digital brands, it's if you send a brochure, your level of connection raises to here.
Right.
When someone feels your business card, it says something to them when it's thick and rich, you know, and luxury. They feel that. And those touching and smells, all the big brands are using that, like have always used smells and music and other things. So I think that will continue in the future.
I come up with the concept, which is, I don't know if it's right or not. The physical is taking space in your mind and your place, where the digital thing is taking space only in what they call it in digital platform. For example, if you have something, it will be all in your mobile, still inside mobile. But if I have something physical, it's not just in mobile, it's taking place in front of me. I can touch, I can feel, I can smell. It taking what they call it, some dimensions in my surrounding, which is that make, I think, more engagement comparing with the digital, because everything inside this, you know, this device, whereas the physical, you can't see it, and it's outside this device, and you can interact with it directly. That's what I think, which is the future of products is still products, and what we are looking for is more, as you said, more consumer behavioral. We have to understand more about our customers, and we have to build that good perception about our brand and consumers' mindset. And my last question, if I hope your camera is switch on, because switch off now, it's black screen. My last question, Lisa, is for you. Did you consider the sustainability / environmentally friendly in your products with your clients?
Yes, I do. It's something more and more that is really becoming, I think, important. I live on acreage, so I love plants and nature, and it's still hard. It is still hard to be cost effective, and I think we're doing our best. But I definitely think you want to consider it, and I think more and more that people are driving that with products.
Yes, they want to see. I think this is the future, Lisa, because with the highing of pollutions we have, and so we have to rethink about reuse, recycle, reduce, and how make the products more sustained, and the different projects. I just read about it, I think in US, even there's the shoes. I think in TikTok, one of the industrial design using the shoes, the sport shoes, with time it can dissolve, okay, with the with the soil and become planting, from the shoes itself. Very brilliant. It's instead of throwing plastic and more than 100 years, maybe 500 years, that the plastic dissolve in the earth. So always yes, we produce products, but unfortunately, on the other side, we're killing our environment. We're killing our, our life. Maybe not now, maybe later on for our generations.
We have to. Yes. I really do believe as well. We have to think about the waste.
Yes,
we're just making too much rubbish. I think I heard the other day that there's. I think like they said that 10%, maybe they said 60% of plastic bottles are recycled, but really worldwide, only 10% is recycled. But they're making 1 million a minute. Like it's just so many bottles that you're just like, there's so many not being recycled. It is impossible. And there's more and more exciting products that are being developed that are made of, organic materials that can break down.
Yeah.
And we need, I think, because there's too many, we're making too much rubbish if we all keep using this.
Unfortunately.
So it is really being pushed. So I think that is definitely, I hope.
I think Lisa, you are playing a major role in this, because especially you are an expert. So you go to the client and talking about the environmentally and as you say, about waste management, about the products can be used the waste. But by the way, in Australia, I just a couple of months I watched a small TV ad in Instagram that they use the plastic bottles okay, and taking the thread from plastic bottles, and they produce bags, you know, it's all made by plastics, all made by plastic. That's something amazing. So I think you 100% you have that role to convince client to playing the positive role in our environment, because the environment is not just for your country, not my country. It's all around the world, because especially
That's what I
the
hope we realize.
oceans coming to Bahrain, from Bahrain coming to Australia, around the world. So it's something.
I hope that
common.
from this pandemic, we come together as a world and realize we're all sharing. Yes. You know, it's we need to work together to solve these problems. And when we do with all our minds, wow, I think magic can happen, and we can make that. There's so many brilliant minds and so many amazing people connecting and developing new things. But it is something that we're having to deal with because of so many people in the air.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your time. And of course, my audience, please, I will put the details for your website, for case studies, for all information. Please just go to Lisa's website and read more about her job, and that will adding value to all of us, because at the end of the day, sharing is caring, networking is net worth, and knowing different mindsets, especially for something related to design and products, 100% will be win-win situation, and that will adding value for all of us for sure. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and inshallah, we will see you later on, maybe in future, not the future of Chris Do. I mean the future with E, in different topic. Thank you, Lisa.
No problem.
See you.
Thank you so much, inshallah.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.